Hi there, this is Crystal and I have a very exciting update about the Ability program for you. I'm just getting ready to go out to the BBC, which is on Riverside Drive here in Nairobi, because they've invited me to appear on their show titled #SheWord. And SheWord is a show predominantly that talks about issues that African women go through by African women. On today's episode of the SheWord, there's going to be myself alongside 3 other panelists, and we are all women with disabilities. The topic for today is going to be visible and invisible disabilities. What we go through, our challenges as women, the experiences that we've had, shared, and also different experiences. And generally, we'll have a discourse about disability and women in Africa. I'm just going to pop over to the BBC right now, and at the end of this introduction, I'm going to attach the actual episode so that you can watch the entire thing and let us know what you think on ability@openinstitute.com. By the time you watch this video, this particular episode you're about to watch will have already aired in several African countries, including Kenya, Uganda, Malawi, Namibia, Zambia, Nigeria, Cameroon, Liberia, and so many more. So please enjoy and let us know what you think. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the SheWord, the show where we discuss trending topics among women across Africa, women like you and women like us. On the show today, we have Fatuma Mohammed from Kenya. Fatuma is a program officer at Northern Nomadic Disabled Persons Organization. Fatuma?
Hi, assalamu alaikum.
We also have Crystal Asige from Kenya. She is a singer, songwriter, producer, VIP ambassador, and motivational speaker. VIP?
Very important person, of course, but in this context, it means visually impaired person.
We also have Fardosa Hanshi, a Kenyan Somali with BBC Somali Service.
Hello, Satai.
And I am Faith Njahera from Kenya. I'm the Programs Director at Disability Trust, which is an organization led by disabled women and focused on creating visibility for women and girls with disabilities. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Today, we look at disabilities that affect people around the world. According to the World Health Organization, disability is an umbrella term covering impairments, activity limitations, and participation restrictions. Our first story comes from Zimbabwe. Sinikiwe Kademaunga was born with a physical disability that stopped the growth of her limbs. Even though women with disabilities are recognized to experience multiple exclusions due to gender and disability, this has not held her back. She is now on a mission to change the negative beliefs surrounding disability and has made herself a voice for the voiceless.
Being disabled and being a woman is like being double disadvantaged. But for me to overcome that, I've just always told myself that I can be anything that I want.
Sinikiwe Kademaunga is a force to be reckoned with. In spite of her small frame, the 25-year-old from Zimbabwe is making big moves on social media as a self-proclaimed life coach. Her powerful message about self-acceptance has earned her a loyal following. I went to get ready with her as she prepared to give a speech at a local school and to learn more about her experience growing up with a disability in Africa.
So how does it make you feel, the fact that you're able to do something that, like makeup, that people wouldn't expect that you're able to do?
For me, it really makes me feel more confident, because there's nothing like really living your life depending on other people. That takes away your confidence, to be honest.
You are looking so...
But Sinikiwe isn't fighting to end the stigma against disability alone. With her friend Florence by her side, they're taking the long journey towards changing negative stereotypes about disability together.
Dressing up is really a challenge, especially when you're petite. I wear things that make me look like and feel like a woman. That is very important to me. And also just making up and looking good, that builds my confidence as a woman.
I feel like people, they want me to give them like a show like of how I do things. It constantly reminds me that I have a disability, so which is not really a nice thing.
What do you think surprises most people about you?
I think people associate disability with like poverty, someone who is going to beg, someone who can't do things for themselves. One thing that also comes in people's mind is, so who is doing all this for her? Like, they don't expect to see me doing all of that.
So we're here at Goromonzi High School on the outskirts of Harare. Sinikiwe has already gone in, she's getting ready to give the speech, and the girls are rushing in already. There's a quiet excitement in the room. Let's go take a look.
Don't be limited by your situations or where you are coming from. Don't be limited by that. Just work hard and change that situation, whatever that is going at home, change that situation.
And her words of encouragement certainly didn't fall on deaf ears.
Even though people stare at me and laugh at me, I'm happy with who I am. I know God created me in this way and He knows the future for me.
I just wanted to show people the different side of disability. Some cultures here in Africa, when they see disability, they think maybe it's a curse from the gods or something like that. I also wanted to motivate other young people with disability, because I know it's really hard growing up with a disability. So I wanted to be an example for them. I wanted to be someone that they can look up to and see that it's doable. You can do it. You can just live your life without worrying about what people think about you.
Wow, Sinikiwe is great. Some women are destroyed in the fire, but others are built out of it, and that's definitely her. And I feel like it's all of us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, she's fully accepted her disability, she's embraced it, and she's really working hard to improve her life and other persons with disabilities' life.
Personally, with muscular dystrophy, which is a genetic condition that causes weakness in muscles, like over time, it has had to take all of us as a family and myself to learn, like, how does my body work? How far can I push it? How far can I not? What can I do? How can I modify my environment?
My disability is, this my left leg is shorter than my right leg. So barely people notice it that I'm disabled unless I tell them. Or even some people, they notice after 1 month. So oh, you are limping, what's wrong with you? So, explaining to everyone is hard.
And were you born with your disability?
No, actually I got when I was 15 years old. Yeah.
I also got my disability starting when I was 15, 16 in high school, but it was very gradual. I have glaucoma, and so glaucoma just means that your retina gets eaten away after a long time. So now, several years later, I am visually impaired, but there's so many things that I struggled with. Obviously, confidence, self-esteem, like Sinike was talking about in the video, but then also just people not understanding, not even wanting to ask. Teachers at school not bothered to find out really what's the trouble. Why are you not reading in class, Crystal? How come you don't want to play sports today, Crystal? What is it? How come you keep missing, things out in exams, things like that. And nobody actually wants to sit down and ask you. And so I feel, as a kid, I don't even know what's happening to me. I don't know what glaucoma is. I don't know that my eyesight is deteriorating.
I was born without a disability. When I was 2 years old, I got measles, which left me partially blind. So, of course, in our community, it is very hard to accept disability, very hard. So my parents, my guardians, my relatives, of course, didn't want to accept my disability. They would take me to many hospitals for me to get eye surgery so that I can be okay again. I think when I was younger, I got like maybe around 4 surgeries, maybe 5 surgeries. Women with disabilities from our communities are not very visible. The reason why, because most of them are not educated, because most of them are hidden, and because they are thought they are burden to the society.
Thank you, Fatuma. That's really interesting. Disability is a complex phenomenon, and not all disabilities can be seen. These are known as invisible disabilities. Priscilla Ngede takes a closer look at one of the most common learning disabilities, dyslexia.
Today we look at a mental disability that affects 1 in 10 people around the world, and that is dyslexia. So, what is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a neurological condition caused by a different wiring of the brain. The disorder involves difficulty in learning to read or interpret words, letters, and other symbols. It does not affect general intelligence, but can cause anxiety and low confidence. Trust me, I know, because I'm dyslexic. The most common difficulties that people with dyslexia have are reading, writing, and spelling. For instance, when I was in university, I had to have extra time in exams to keep up with the rest of the class. But like I said earlier, it does not affect general intelligence. People with dyslexia also struggle with short-term memory. Sally, have you seen my hard drive? No, honestly, do you know where I kept my hard drive? Time management and organization. Okay, that one I'm actually good at. There is a spectrum of dyslexia scaling from moderate to severe. So individuals experience these challenges differently. Being dyslexic also comes with its unique advantages. There are 6 thinking skills that dyslexics are proven to have. 75% of dyslexics are above average in visualizing. 84% are above average in imagining. 71% are above average in communicating. 84% are above average in reasoning. 80% are above average at connecting. And 84% are above average at exploring. But here are some actual examples. The unique wiring of people with dyslexia has created some of the world's greatest inventions, brands, and art. Made by Dyslexia have found that 4 out of 5 dyslexics attribute dyslexia to their success. Innovative thinkers such as Richard Branson, CEO and founder of Virgin, a billion-pound business. Lateral thinkers like Albert Einstein, one of the most influential physicists in history, who developed the laws of relativity and shapes the way we see the world today. Intuitive problem solving like Dr. Maggie Edwin Pocock, a leading space scientist and designer of a host of space instruments. Creative like Steven Spielberg, one of the most influential directors in the history of film. An important fact to take away is that dyslexia is not due to the individual's ability to learn and develop these skills. It is actually to do with the way people process information and how that affects their ability to learn.
I love that video. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
There was some things I didn't actually know about that in there.
It's very hard for people to know about it because you can tell if somebody has a disability or not.
When I was in school with my invisible disability, I was labeled as lazy. I was labeled as Crystal doesn't want to do work. She doesn't want to read out loud in class. She doesn't want to go to the school play and play her part. But it's actually because I couldn't read my scripts. I couldn't read the books. I couldn't read the blackboard. And because I'm so young, I can't really explain. I can't express what's wrong with me because I don't know either.
And you imagine how traumatizing it is, for a child, especially for a child. And then it lowers someone's self-esteem.
I once went to madrasa with the Quranic teachings with the children in my area, and then I remember that the teacher told them, why I give you Quran with Firdosa, and then she read the Quran very well, but you're not reading, what's wrong with you? That means you are stupid. So I think it needs a lot of awareness about, because most people, even parents, doesn't aware what their children are suffering from. They don't know.
Lots of us are left behind in conversations, in experiences, in education, just because our disabilities are more invisible than others. That's completely wrong, because it really affects confidence, and not just for kids, even for adults.
After this short break, we got to hear the views of men in Abuja, Nigeria, on some of the misconceptions people have on men living with disability. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to The She Word. Our focus this week is on disabilities. Persons with disabilities have in many instances faced societal attitudes and misconceptions around us. We spoke to some men in Abuja, Nigeria, for their opinions on misconceptions women have about men with disability. Ladies, we've got Mel.
One misconception ladies have towards us, they feel we may not be able to take care of them.
Some women feel like I might not be capable in bed.
A lot of people thought that being a disabled person, you have no hope again in life.
You're going to somewhere.
When you meet some girls, they think you are a beggar. Not all disabled people are beggars.
Not all disabled that like begging.
Not all ladies would like to meet, to befriend a disabled person. At times when you meet them, they don't even want to give you a listening ear.
We know ourselves that we are good, we can do much to help not just ladies, but also our society.
Anything my woman asks me to do, I'm able to do perfectly, even 10 times better.
A disabled man is like all other men. It's just the fact that he has one disability or the other.
Person living with disability, they are very caring.
Every girl would love to date a disabled guy because of the low rate of cheating.
I'm not the cause of my disability, so love doesn't rise on that. When I sit among able-bodied people, I engage, eat, and drink with them, and they don't care about my condition.
That is so funny. When one of them said, I can do everything, even 10 times better. I was like, yeah.
One of them has mentioned, how you cannot be sexual or you cannot have sexual relations.
Yeah.
When you compare male and female, and the way they say it, I think women suffer more.
Yeah.
They are more marginalized than them.
If I may give an example from our community, you find that most of the time when a guy falls in love with a woman with disability, the parents don't agree with him. They rather, even the whole community, not just the parents, the whole community thinks that no, it's not right for this guy to marry this woman with disability because he's going to suffer. He's going to get a lot of difficulties, without even giving this woman a chance to prove her capabilities, And I think that's very wrong.
I think also other misconceptions that I've experienced is when people think that someone that's disabled should date someone that's disabled because apparently we can only go together in that form, and that's completely wrong because all couples are opposites. And another misconception I have also faced is that can you have children? And I'm like, what do you mean? How does my eyesight have to do with giving birth?
Exactly. And with that, some people, they misconception that if you get married to a disabled lady, she's going to give birth to a disabled
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for me, the twist there comes in, I have a genetic condition. Which is genetic. So then you'll find random people being like, can you have, can you get pregnant? I'm like, I don't even know your name, first of all, like, what is your business?
That's it.
But then also like the conversation, the automatic assumption that, you actually want children.
Exactly,
all of a sudden,
how
people
are dating, like, I'm like, okay, like, people, and it's, I think, questions that non-disabled people you'll rarely find someone out of the blues being like, can you get pregnant?
Exactly.
Disabled woman.
When you haven't even told me anything about yourself. We've just had this coffee just now.
I always prefer, whenever somebody approaches me, I always prefer to tell them that I'm visually impaired. Sometimes, my disability is not visible. So whether they decide to go on from there or they stop it altogether, I don't care.
And also, I feel as though the onus is on me as well when I'm dating to make it fun, make it lighthearted, just make them feel like, okay, because everyone is nervous, because it's a bit mysterious, disability, they don't know what to say, how to act, and it's understandable. But it's up to me when I'm in a situation to be like, hey, we can laugh, we can joke, say jokes, blind jokes, give them to me, all of them, I'll laugh, I'll tell you that's not funny, or whatever it is, so they can also feel free to be around me, and then that's when the relationship can at least have a good start.
What the society likes is information.
Absolutely.
If we give them this information, then life is going to be a little bit easier for us.
Exactly. People with disabilities can thrive in all jobs scattered to their needs. However, the employment rates to those with disability is low globally, and especially in developing countries. According to the United Nations, 80 to 90% of people with disabilities living in developing world are unemployed. But Palette Cafe is trying to change that. Sally Bayani tells us more.
When was the last time you walked into a restaurant or any service bureau for that matter and you were attended to by a person with a disability? Yesterday? Last week? Last month? I figure not. And if you have, then it's an only rare occurrence. Today you are coming with me to Palette Cafe, where the employer has decided to shake up the status quo, where all his employees, the waiters and waitresses, are deaf.
When the clients come in, we usually use writing for those who don't know sign language. And then I take their order and give it to the chef. And if there are people who know sign language, then we just use directly. We communicate through sign language. also I teach them a bit of sign language, how to say hello and welcome, and most of them have the interest. So as they progress, they learn sign language, and by doing that, we influence them, and also they remember, and they always also go and talk to other people and tell them about the experience that they meet at Palais Cafe, so that they come here also. Okay, outside there for deaf people, I know they face a lot of challenges, and most of them also, they tell me that since I'm working here, they want to also come for me to help them to get employment. In the future, I want to get the skills and also become independent and open opportunities. And the experience that I get here, I will keep it and learn. And then when I'm independent out there, I can, you know, open something like this, and also open a cafe where the deaf will be the ones who are managing it.
Palais Cafe is 4 months old now, as per many people knows it. But I always thought of something I can call humanity, and I wanted to include my business, something that can help the society that surrounds us. I deal with anything falls on disability umbrella, and I'm working with them a lot. Deaf people, people who have like physical disabilities, who are working with me. I treat them as a normal person. Reason is because I see no different than me or anyone else. And they don't need a lot of things. What they need is just a little bit of a confidence. Youth and entrepreneurs are the only one who can eradicate the problem facing an employment of disability.
It has been a great experience to learn that people with disabilities can contribute to the workforce if enabled. However, majority of persons with disabilities across Africa still remain unemployed, and majority of them being women.
It's so great. I've actually been to Palette, and Faisal is doing an amazing job there. I really think that when employers start to understand that when you employ somebody with disability, you will have the most loyal workforce that you've could ever imagine, because by the time that person gets a job, after all the hardships, after all the rejections, etc., that person will be loyal to you and your company and will do their best, will come in early, leave late, and that's what also employers report as well.
Yeah, and especially if you go into a workplace where you're treated as a regular employee, and the modifications to the environment and be it communication have been made possibly even prior to you going on board, then you're not treated as the
exactly
different
I
person.
love the way he says, I treat him like anybody else because he's just like me and you.
Employers feel, okay, number one, they don't know how to handle, they don't know what to do, how to act like everybody else in society. Number two, they don't actually specifically put in their advertisements, we would like people with disability to apply. This is open for, so that we as well know that actually they're welcoming and they want us to be there. And then number three too, like you're saying, to make the actual space accessible, do a few modifications. The mystery is, or the conception is that doing these small things to tweak your space is going to cost money.
Exactly.
And actually when you do it at the beginning, when instead of renovating years later, it's actually at a very low cost or no cost at all.
The government of Kenya has a provision where persons with disabilities, 5% job for persons with disabilities in every private and public sector. But I believe up to now, I don't think we have reached even 2%.
It gets even tricky for private sector when government, government puts together laws and even guidelines, but then you still go to government offices and government facilities and they themselves are not accessible.
Oh my goodness, this is it.
So then that leaves us as the disabled people to be in limbo.
We've actually found that Kenya is really good at writing policy. We're very, very good at it. As in, policies are very good, but implementation is the biggest problem. And we've been able to map different buildings and streets in Nairobi over the last month to see how accessible they are. Like you're saying, ramps, street lights, railing, good lighting, clear spaces, etc. And out of 500 buildings and streets, most of them are inaccessible. We know that already, but obviously when you see the data on a map and you're like, hey, wow.
Disability is not just all about being given and given and given. We also give back to the to the society, to the community. How many people are we employing as persons with disability, as personal assistant? The computer I'm using, it has to come with a voiceover, with a voice. It has to be expensive than the rest of the computer. A car is not a luxury for a person with disability. It's a necessity, and you know, some things which are very luxury for any other person is not a luxury for us. It's a necessity.
It's one thing to say, oh, we are exempting you from tax, but then you're not exempted from buying food, you're not exempted from fare, you're not exempted from these other things. So perhaps, you know, government and private sector can all work together in a way that, you know, we all as disabled people across, you know, across all wherever it is that we are, we can then live our lives without incurring so much extra cost. It's been great talking today, but there's so much more to say on this topic. So please join the discussion on BBC Africa social media platforms and keep the conversation going with the hashtag #TheSheWord. Goodbye.